What's going on, guys? I'm Taylor.
I'm Joe.
And this is We Tell You. And as Joe mentioned earlier in the week, this is my off-center shirt. I bought this shirt at a swap meet. So you can see Mario is supposed to be center, and then it's kind of shifted to the left a little bit here. So that's what you get for the swap meet.
And I'm wearing my painting shirt because I'm painting today.
Did you really paint today?
Yeah, kind of.
Good job. He did.
Yeah.
Yes. This is our Friday We Tell You show, or Freeform
Freeform Friday. The best part of the week.
Also, I understand last week our faces were oily as hell, so this time we've not been so oily. Hopefully, I don't know. It's hot in our garage studio. Hopefully we can get some more AC in here and not say anymore, because I was told not to say anymore.
Someone told you not to say
Yeah, I said not.
Who's that?
Don't say anymore. Somebody online said, don't say anymore. You say too much. Fine. I'll quit saying I'm sorry.
Our online audience has a lot to say about Taylor's performance.
Yes.
The hell.
I don't care. Anyway, so here we go. Today, well, you mentioned early in the week about Jon Jones, and as teaser, Jon Jones, Brock Lesnar. Now.
And then watch my epic takedown of Jon Jones in my...
That was the same video, yeah.
Yes.
That was one of these Let Me Rant.
Go ahead and watch that one.
Now, I believe at the time of this airing, it will be the week of SummerSlam, which the stipulation is currently at WWE SummerSlam that if Brock Lesnar loses his Universal Championship, he will leave WWE. That only takes place with him if he's going to go back to UFC or something. Happened in the past when he goes back to fight. He'll leave for some dumb reason, fight UFC, come back to WWE, and then get the championship back because he's the beast, and then he'll do it again. That's his thing. It's his MO. He'll come back for a run, only fight at pay-per-views. He'll make appearances during TV shows here and there. Not wrestle. Maybe he'll get in some altercation, like the Go Home show before the my apologies, the pay-per-view, and that's it. But this time, he may fight Jon Jones, but not right away. Joe, tell him why.
I don't know.
God damn it.
No, so you know how he fought Mark Hunt last time, and he got bust. He came in at short notice. We weren't adequately able to test him. They tested him, and one of his samples tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug. It was, damn it.
And then he got that meat disease.
Yeah. So, no, that was a long time ago. Okay. But basically, he tested positive for a type of...
steroid?
It was basically like an estrogen blocker, which is what you take for when you come down off of steroids, so you don't produce extra estrogen in your body. So you would only take something like that if you're cycling off of steroids. So he still has to face a punishment for that. And he has to, when you retire in the UFC, you don't get to just retire and then that's your suspension. He has to come back, enroll in USADA testing, the anti-doping agency, and then he has to, after he enrolls, he has to start his suspension again, and then he has to complete his suspension, and then he's eligible to come back, all while being tested, and then he can fight. So Jon Jones has said he wants to fight Lesnar, but we're looking at about 6 months to a year possibility of that fight taking place if it does. So in the meantime, I would probably see a rematch between Jon Jones and Alexander Gustafsson in the wintertime for this year, and then in the summertime next year would probably be the time for the Brock Lesnar and Jon Jones fight. Because they already have agreed to fight verbally on Twitter or whatever method of communication.
Gustav and Jon Jones?
No, Brock Lesnar and Jon Jones.
Brock Lesnar tweet? Is that just him? Because I know he has that DC Brock Lesnar I follow, but he hasn't seen him write anything. If anything, it's for wrestling.
Apparently he's accepted it, and he will fight Jon Jones.
Okay.
So he'll do it. Now, officially, that's another story. But he's going to do it. So, unfortunately, for those who like instant gratification, that fight's probably about a year or so out, if at all.
Now, in a year, everybody will be... My apologies, we had a little beer. In a year, Brock Lesnar will be off of his suspension. He'll be clean thereof. Jon Jones may or may not have a couple Coke spindles in his body.
Which is fine. As if you watch my video, it's fine, John. It's fine.
If you pick a character, I'm fucking drunk. If you
it's beer week on the show,
and
we've been drinking the whole time while we've been doing the shows.
My apologies. So if Jon Jones picks his Coke-loving character, and he is up to fighting Brock Lesnar, and they've both done somewhat of a training regimen to get them both in shape. Brock Lesnar is still big, but still a little pudgy, you know. What do you think the chances of... Now, you mentioned your strategy for Brock Lesnar on the Let Me Rant show, where you said knock Jon Jones to the ground, ham hocks just to the face.
Hold them. Just hold them down.
Hit him.
Do very little activity at all.
He gets winded to release it.
No, little activity. That way the ref doesn't get you off of him. Do very little activity to pretend you're punching and doing damage to him, or doing the minimal as possible. Wear Jon Jones out trying to get you off of him. And then make sure every opening of the round you have enough energy to take him down again and not let him stand up at all whatsoever, period. This is how you win this fight against Jon Jones.
Isn't it like the fat guy move where you just land
It is exactly the fat guy move.
Lay on top of them and then have them struggle?
It is the fat guy move. Don't think it's anything else. Don't think the strategy is courageous. This is a strategy for you to win, sir, and get the rightful championship you deserve.
Not that you are fat. We're calling you fat, but you're a little pudgy.
So we are not fans of your fighting style. We do not think you are the best fighter, but we do, however, support your championship reign. Yes. So this is how you do it. Any other way, you will probably lose. So if you're standing up to Jon Jones, you will probably lose. And if you think that the striking is bad from Cain Velasquez, pudgy heavyweight 220-pounder, sure as shit from Jon Jones, it's going to be a nightmare for you. So
how big is Jon Jones right now?
6'4", 6'5", 205 pounds for the weight limit, but probably walks around 220, 230, and he's freaking ripped.
But Brock Lesnar is a big guy. But he's way more than 220. There's no way he can be 220.
He's probably
I'm 198.
He's probably entering the ring. When he enters the ring, the weight limit's 265 for heavyweight. The limit cut off, so you can be from 205 to 265, or sorry, you can be 206 to 265. He's probably entering there at 280-ish, roughly.
You need to cut down.
But the problem with Brock Lesnar is not that he is not at a weight advantage. He is, but he's at an everything disadvantage, which is the problem with Brock Lesnar. So,
if you've seen his WWE fights, he's a champion. Yes, wrestling WWE is predetermined. The end. But the way to get there, his fight.
I'm gonna throw this desk over right now. What do you mean predetermined?
I'm sorry. Everybody kayfabe again. But yes, so maybe the outcomes are been spoken for already. But if Brock Lesnar gets so winded and tired and gets drenched with sweat like we do in the studio here, it gets worse. Just it gets so nasty and grimy. They're in 5-10 minutes of this fight. You'll know that a Brock Lesnar fight is going to be short in a pay-per-view, because it's always the last one, and it's always they go to 8 o'clock, and the fight starts at 7:50. It's a 10-minute fight, if that, and that's 5 or 6 minutes of them just talking crap or entering, leaving the ring. Now in MMA, do you think he can actually go the distance with Jon Jones for 5 rounds?
Not at all. Not even close. Not even a little bit. You got to remember, he has to carry all that body weight around. He has to carry all those muscles around, and it takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of refueling, and it takes a lot of effort to keep that machine going. And he has a body type for what he has, which is short, explosive, powerful energy. And if it goes any longer than that, it's not going to be a good night for Brock there. But I like Brock. I mean, I'm always for the guy that just destroys everybody and everyone hates, and you can't beat him, like Trump and the Patriots. I mean, right there. I mean, it's good stuff. I mean, if he came in with a Make America Great Again hat and a Tom Brady jersey, I mean, would he just be hated by everyone in America?
But what do you say to them? Would you tell them something? Would you go up and say, Lesnar, you're stupid, you suck, you have stupid values?
Would I tell him that? I just told Jon Jones in a video about 10 minutes of how I thought about him.
Jon Jones is very much more ripped than Lesnar, as you would say.
No, here's the thing.
Tell me.
In person, would I say it? Now, for example, if Brock Lesnar was a person and he was not Brock Lesnar, he was just a person out who was Brock Lesnar, but he was not famous, he was not stuff like that, whatever. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. I would not say that to him ever. However, if it's Brock Lesnar, of course I would say that to him, because if I said that to Brock Lesnar and he did something to me, there's chances are he wouldn't kill me. Because, see, if I made him mad enough to kill me, I'd have to do something very serious to him, right?
Yes.
Like hurt a family member or something like that, right? Whatever. But if I can say something to him enough to sustain moderate injury, I could sue him for millions and millions of dollars.
And
so,
there is the U.S.
Yes, exactly.
Just wrapped into one sentence.
However, I'm a fan of Brock Lesnar, so I wouldn't do that to him. He's a hero. However, Jon Jones, no, I'm just kidding. Jon Jones is fine too. But
can you imagine Brock Lesnar as my current weight, 198? How he would look?
It would be deformed.
I mean, he has the big kind of like, it'd be like a toothpick with like a marshmallow on top. It'd be like, it's nothing. It'd be weird. I mean,
have you ever seen those people that like were big and they lost a bunch of weight and their head's all huge and they look all like, that'd be probably the same thing.
Like cartoon characters.
Yeah, they look ridiculous.
And I mean, like, there has to be a time, sadly, when Lesnar has to retire from all sports, real or predetermined. He has to stop fighting in general, for his health. Now, that time, is he going to continue to work out? Is he going to go, I don't care, I'm going to go hunt and drink and eat my stew and get fat? Or is he going to just not work anything, lose it all? What's going to happen?
He does sports. He does hunting and stuff like that on his own.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he hunts and everything, but, I mean, is that enough to sustain his current build? I
don't know. Have you seen him in high school? Should throw up a pic of him in high school, whatever. He looked like he was always going to be that way no matter what.
Maybe. They always say, well, it was Joe Rogan. We always see Joe Rogan, but what does Joe Rogan say about he had the Viking blood in him?
Who's the fattest person you know?
I'm not making fun of you, Joe. It's just more...
That's what you know. It doesn't take a lot to maintain that. Yeah. It doesn't. It doesn't take a lot to maintain because basically once you're already that size, you just basically need to eat the amount of a regular human being to maintain. You need to cut the calories to lose weight.
Okay.
Or so we say on our dieting tip show. So we'll break it down for you.
Like last Friday, I think, or 2 Fridays ago? A couple Fridays ago, 3 Fridays ago. Anyway. So, yeah.
That's what's going to happen with that. CM Punk's going to fight again. Did you hear that?
Yes, he'll be in the Ring of Honor. But no, like in wrestling or MMA?
MMA.
No, I thought he was going to Ring of Honor.
No, he is going to fight again in UFC.
Mickey Gold too?
CM Punk. Now, I called that CM Punk was going to get his ass kicked on our Social Ferocity podcast.
We also love CM Punk, don't?
Now,
I love CM Punk more than I love Brock Lesnar.
I love CM Punk. But I did on the podcast say that he was going to just get... I did not say it'd be close. I said he would just get beaten mercilessly. That he's 35. He was 35 at the time. He was never an athlete. He was a wrestler, a performer. He was never a college wrestler. He was never into jiu-jitsu. He would never played sports, stuff like that. And he was starting martial arts training seriously
at 35.
At 35 years old, when everyone else is mostly on decline.
Yeah.
So the fight pretty much went how exactly I thought it would go. Were you surprised?
Sadly, yes.
And he's gonna do it again, by the way. Look at this. Look at this.
I know.
Look at this.
Here I am.
He's actually going to cry on the show. Like, he's so heartbroken about this.
I really am.
Yeah.
No, so CM Punk did
what I would have given to be with Taylor that night when he saw that.
It was a pretty sight.
That happened over there?
Not at all. Not a pretty sight.
Were people like?
I was by myself watching it.
You
that was the worst part.
Okay.
That was the best part because nobody saw me anything happen. So as far as you know, nothing happened. Didn't shed a tear. I just watched it and said, okay. I went to bed.
Okay.
That didn't happen. So, yes. Sadly, CM Punk lost. It was it was longer. It was like, under 2 minutes. Not even really that good. He held his own as much as he could. I'm not going to say recap the fight. It's been old.
I blame UFC more than I blame anyone else because.
But no, the UFC. Don't blame UFC. UFC did its job. It made money off that. Because
UFC is stupid.
If you were there, and neither was I. After CM Punk fought, the arena mostly cleared out. They all came for
UFC, let me tell you about UFC. UFC has historically botched opportunities for huge fights, like repeatedly, like over and over again. As long as I've been a fan and watched UFC, they have taken big name opportunity fights, and instead of building them up and putting them against, opponents to raise their stature or raise them up. And you can say what you want. You could say, well, UFC is a real sport, and that's not how you run a real sport. Bullshit, because UFC is only a real sport when it wants to be a real sport, because when it wants, James Toney to fight Randy Couture for money, they do that. If they want CM Punk, who never won a fight, to fight MMA fighter, then it's fine. So like UFC makes its own rules when they want to make its own rules. If UFC were to put the number 1 against the number 2 fighter, Michael Bisping wouldn't be fighting George St. Pierre. They just pick and choose the rules they want to pick and choose when they want to choose them. This was under the Zuffa era, right? So UFC hit and became a big company because everyone wanted what UFC brought at the time they brought it up. They wanted a true fighting martial arts performance, and they didn't want boxing, which is nothing, wrestling, which is like boxing is one style, which, boxing, let's say its heyday's over now. Yeah. And then they had other, the Olympic wrestling's boring, jiu-jitsu's boring, stuff like that. The UFC is basically what everyone wanted to see for a long time. I'm surprised that they took so long to do it. So when they finally did it, UFC was the company that did it the best. But everyone else did well with it too. People still liked watching Strikeforce. They liked watching Affliction. They liked watching Pride. Yeah. All the other ones they liked watching because the sport is what they wanted to see, not the brand UFC. And UFC blew a lot of opportunities in having fights that basically, like, they got lucky with fights people wanted to see, but the other fights, they just completely whiffed on them, like repeatedly over and over again. So now that...
You have an example of one?
There was a good one off the top of my head, right? Let's see. For the longest time, Tito was ducking the championship, and they didn't have like an intern. Like, this is before they had intern belts, right? Mm-hmm. So they didn't have the intern belt, and they didn't strip him of the title, and they should have stripped him of the title and had an intern belt, right? So that was like a mistake I can remember off the top of my head. And then another one was. What was the one that they did? Oh, that's right. I can do recent ones, actually.
Go for it.
They have what was that guy's name? The guy, Sage Northcutt.
Okay.
Right? Do you know him?
No.
Basically, that was the guy Mickey Gall called out to fight after he beat CM Punk. Remember?
Not the same night, though.
After he beat CM Punk, he called out Sage Northcutt to fight him. He called him out to fight him, right?
Gotcha.
So, and then the other one was Paige Van Zandt, right? Like,
yeah.
They had her on Dancing with the Stars and all this other stuff, right? But the problem is like, instead of building up Sage Northcutt and Paige Van Zandt, instead of building them up against people they can build them up against, they have them go against people that they're not qualified to fight right away because they have a big name, and they take like the payout early for the name, and then what they do is they make money off like 2 fights before they become the champion, and then they derail their career because they lose, and then they go, oh, well, that's the way it is. We're real fighting. However, for example, if you're real fighting, you have Ronda Rousey, who is winning a couple fights and doing good, and you have a big marketing machine behind her. Yeah. You don't let anyone at all qualified whatsoever to touch her because she's a money train, because you got George St. Pierre retired at the time, Jon Jones was out at the time, Conor McGregor didn't really come of age yet. Yeah. So you have to make Ronda Rousey a star, so you don't let her fight Chris Cyborg Santos. So, I mean, you remember that? Like,
is that ever going to happen, you think?
No. Cyborg now has won the championship. Cyborg is being allowed to fight in the UFC now and has won the championship, right? Mm-hmm. Now that there's no Ronda Rousey. But that just shows you the bullshit that UFC does where, what they do is, like, they have a person like Rousey. Yeah. They make the most money they possibly make off of her, right? Mm-hmm. And then she gets crushed, and then they now have to bring in Cyborg and make a bunch of money off Cyborg, right? Yeah. However, what you could have done is you could have had Rousey basically have the impact of like a Conor McGregor, Mayweather, and have Rousey versus Cyborg, because everyone knows who Cyborg is, everyone knows who Rousey is, right? Instead, what you do is you have Rousey go up against somebody you think Rousey will be able to beat, Holly Holm. Holly Holm beats the crap out of her. Ronda Rousey loses everything, and then she sucks so bad it destroys her life. She comes back, someone beats her up again, and we have yet to see whether or not this new champion, Amanda Nunes, we have yet to see whether or not she is sustainable within her title reign as well. But she beats her, devalues your champion, and in the big money fight that you're supposed to have, you never were able to do because you messed up the order. Like, everyone won the Cyborg fight with Ronda Rousey years ago. Instead, they got a bunch of fights they didn't want to see, and then a no-name person beat her up. No one even thought Holly was going to beat her because the fight was like in Australia, no one was even watching. Yeah. And then they beat her. So, like, that's a big one, how they blew it with her, right? And then they did this over and over again. And then they have like Brock Lesnar, and then he fights like Cain Velasquez, right? Cain Velasquez doesn't really have that big of a marketing build-up, and no one really knows who Cain Velasquez is. They just know he's the next contender. Yeah. And then they go, oh, Brock should easily be able to beat him. He gets his ass kicked by Cain, and it's like Cain is injured all the time, isn't really a marketable fighter, and then the heavyweight championship never really recovers. It's like the UFC repeatedly does not know how to pit their stars. And you could say, well, it's real fighting. Well, Pride seemed to do it with real fighting. Great. Yeah. Pride always had the biggest fights. Nogueira versus Fedor versus Krokop. Like they seem to do it repeatedly, pit the biggest names against each other and make a great time out of it. But UFC seems like they seem to coddle people to a point and then just blow it at the end. They seem to have like a reputation of doing that.
Where's Pride right now?
Pride?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not running anymore. I mean, what happened was like it was dying in Japan anyways, and UFC bought it, and then like they paid $40 million for it, and essentially it was basically they paid $40 million for videotapes. It was like library, the fight library,
and Strikeforce too.
Strikeforce, no, they paid for the whole brand, stuff like that. But that's the point. Is like UFC picks and chooses the fights people want to see, but then the fights people don't want to see, that person beats up their champion and then devalues their character. So you have Sage Northcutt and Paige Van Zandt. They get beat early. Now no one wants to watch them fight anymore. And then you have now Cyborg. Okay. And she's just a beast and beats everybody. And there's no real threat to her, so no one wants to watch her either. Yeah. So you've actually like messed up two marketing. Like you messed up. The whole situation was messed up with Cyborg and Ronda Rousey. So you messed up Ronda Rousey, and now you messed up Cyborg. Because Cyborg's not in the division. No one wants to see her fight anyway. No one cares.
No, do you think that if Cyborg is Cyborg marketable?
It's hard. And it's hard to say this. Look I have a special like affinity for Cyborg, okay? Okay. She's a Huntington Beach girl. I saw her at Chili's one time, Huntington Beach, there. So I have more of a relationship with Cyborg. She trains Huntington Beach, you know. I have more of a relationship with her than I have with any other female fighter, right? Okay. Because that Ronda Rousey is like, she's from Riverside, you know, those people are over there. So I don't know. It sucks. So that being said, I like his Cyborg, stuff like that. But to be fair, you have to be good at fighting. If you're a woman, you have to be good at fighting, and you have to kind of be be and look good, you know. I mean, that's
not anything from our end.
It's not anything. That's just I'm not being a dick. I'm not so like whatever. Not but today. I'm just saying that like, if you are pretty, like really pretty, and you suck at fighting, you will launch up fast, and that's the case with Paige Van Zandt, right? And then even Sage Northcutt. I guess with guys a little bit, but more so with women, right? But if you're a woman, they want you to almost play the part of being a woman and being a good fighter. And Cyborg doesn't play the part of being a woman very well. And not that she's not girly, she is, right? Mm-hmm. But she's bigger, stronger, faster, meaner, and more aggressive and crazier than all of them, you know, and isn't the prettiest woman, right? So I will respect her as a fighter. I will. Okay. So will MMA guys. So will people that know MMA. The mainstream media, though, they want to see their characters. Like Wonder Woman, the pretty ass kicker. Like, you can have people legitimately kick ass. You can have women kick ass, right? Yeah. But there's a certain femininity they also have to possess while kicking ass that I don't think men have to. I don't think men have to.
Can I ask your opinion on 2 female fighters?
Yeah.
Former. They're retired, I believe.
Your favorite Fallon Fox, the
No.
transgender fighter?
No, but I will look it up later. 1, Gina Carano.
See, pretty and couldn't. She was the best female fighter at the time, or better than the rest of them.
Yes.
But her career is kind of more. She was like a model and an actress, and she used that to parlay herself into a model acting career.
Okay, she still is. She's dead. She's in Deadpool.
Exactly, same thing, right? And then, soon as she fought a real fighter, Cyborg kicked her ass, right?
Yeah.
Cyborg's popularity did not translate though, and you have to wonder, and you have to look and be honest with yourself. And kind of say, well, maybe it's also she isn't that good looking as these girls she's beating up.
Conventionally good looking.
Conventionally good looking.
How about Misha Tate?
Misha Tate could fight, and she was pretty too. So I mean, she had that going for her, right? But then again, at the time, she was going up against Rousey, who could fight and who was pretty and could also fight better than Misha. So
Yeah.
it's hard to be marketable against that. But like right now, I mean, Amanda Nunes, I mean, great fighter and stuff like that, but isn't as pretty, and she's also she's a lesbian, so she's into women, so you're cutting off the marketability. It's like the same thing. Hear me out. Shut up, people. Hear me out. It's the same thing in Hollywood when you have an obviously gay actor, Hugh Jackman, obviously gay,
Not
obviously,
Wolverine.
and they tell you not to pretend you're not gay or to be closeted and not tell people about it because you want to be more marketable as a male actor by opening yourself to female fantasies, right?
Okay.
Things like that. So they tell men in Hollywood not to admit that they're gay so they can have more opportunities and roles, right?
Okay.
It's the way it is. The way it is. Liberal Hollywood is like this, right?
Yes.
Same thing with Amanda Nunes. People would probably, if she was more feminine and stuff like that, guys would be like, oh, I wish I'd have a chance with her. Blah, blah, blah. You know how it is. You know how creepy guys are. Taylor. But that's the thing is like it does cut off some of that marketability, not criticizing them, marketability there, everyone. So, and it's just sad, but that's the way it is. So I like Cyborg. I think she's a great fighter. I thought she always beat the shit out of Ronda. Always. I never thought Ronda would ever even stand a chance against Cyborg. I thought Cyborg would just beat the crap out of her, but she never got a chance because she's not the stereotype of what they want to see as a female fighter. Everyone wants to see a female who can kick a man's ass, right?
Yes.
Like they want to be shocked by it almost. Like, oh my God, she's pretty and she can beat the shit out of people too. They don't want to see a female come in there and they go, oh, I know she can kick everyone's ass because look at her. Like they don't want to see that. Like they don't want their arms to be bigger than your arms.
They want somebody they can date. They want somebody they want to date.
They could date.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Without feeling like at the end of the night they're gonna get beat up and
They're gonna get raped.
that's like, and then I mean that's the way that a lot of people think out there. So I'm just laying it out there that could be a problem for Cyborg and her popularity and her mainstream media appeal. Like where's the invitations from Ellen? Where's the invitations from all these other different shows? I mean, Rousey was on Ellen.
Yeah. Was that before or after acting?
It's after acting and stuff like that. But Cyborg's acted too in films, but you don't see them. They're not as popular. And then this thing is like, where's Cyborg's invitations? She's the female champion now. She's one of the baddest female fighters for years.
They even have wrestlers on SportsCenter every Wednesday or so or Tuesday.
So where are her interviews? So you just have to say that there's a lot of like shit going all around for why she's not that popular, and I am blaming everyone to blame. Now, me and you might think that like shit's fine and Cyborg's okay, and even like to us, she'd be like, "That's fine. She's pretty." Stuff like that, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, look at who people think is pretty, and me and Taylor don't think they're pretty at all. Like Tommy Loren. White Devil. I mean, obviously, like it's disgusting to me and Taylor, but everyone else likes her for some reason. I have no idea why.
Blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have characters on this show. She will be known as the White Devil from now on, every single time.
White Devil.
Cyborg, if you're out there, we are local. If you want to be on the show, nothing personal against you. We're go girl. We're for you all the way. We're fans. Okay, you want to be on the show? Come
Come in here. You want
We'll
to sweat?
talk. We'll talk about the racism, the sexism, the bigotry. We'll talk about why you think that this is not. You're not the most popular fighter. We'll talk about Dana White's comments about, or not his comments about, laughing about comments about you being like manly or things like that or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll talk about how that's unfair because it is unfair. It's unfair that we've talked about this even on the show about like the Chrissy Teigen whatever.
Yeah.
We talked about being rich or not or being beautiful, good looking. So being rich and beautiful, that is the prejudice. That is way worse than anything. You know why?
Yeah.
Because that transcends everything. That transcends all races, everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is like the money and beauty, and that's not fair. And Cyborg should get the recognition she deserves. She's the champ now, and I don't know why she's not. And you can only blame it on that. You can blame it on just sexual definitions. You can blame it on maybe even people that don't know any better. She's obviously a woman, been a woman, but transphobic, stuff like that. You know, you can blame it on anything, but that it's not fair for her. Definitely. Sorry, Taylor, to just get you on all that subject matter. But I know you're a Cyborg fan though too.
Yes, we both are. Yeah, we both appreciate our local.
I know we're not Rousey fans either. So there you go.
Okay. On that note,
are you?
No, I appreciate.
Like I said, okay, like it was like, no, Joe speaks for everybody. That I say, are you? He goes, not at all, not even a little bit. Not even close.
Nope. But yeah, so that was our show. If you want to leave any comments concerning Cyborg, Rousey, Tate, Carano, White,
who's the hottest?
Joe,
top to bottom. Rank them on that.
Start with Joe and with Taylor.
Yes.
Who's in the middle?
Yeah. So, and if you don't think that Cyborg is the best on all levels, you are sexist, xenophobic, homophobe. That's what you are. Millennial. Exactly. So there you go.
How dare you?
Mm-hmm.
You monster.
You're a monster. You really are. You.
Cry. All right. I know.
That's a long way to tell you.
Yes.
He's leaving next week or the week after, so we got to do this.
Yeah. Well, I've already left and died in the plane crash.
That's true. He's gone. See you later. Bye.
So, see you later.
Here's our last shows ever.
Yes.